Rook e1, out of opening book. Queen c7. e5, attacks black's knight at f6. Knight d7, moves it to safety. Queen e2. b5. Knight f1. a5. h4. Knight d4, attacks white's queen and blocks white's pawn at d3. Knight takes d4, protects white's queen, threatens black's pawn at b5 and blocks black's pawn at d5. C takes d4, protects black's pawn at b5. Black wins a knight for a knight. Material is even. Bishop f4. Rook a6. Knight h2. Rook c6. Rook a c1. Bishop a6. Bishop takes d5, attacks black's rook at c6. White wins a pawn. White is up a pawn in material. Rook c5. Slightly better is e takes d5. Bishop e4, moves it to safety. Rook c8. c3. Slightly better is knight f3. D takes c3. B takes c3. Rook takes c3. Rook takes c3, attacks black's queen. Queen takes c3. Black wins a rook and 2 pawns for a rook and a pawn. Material is even. Rook c1, attacks black's queen. Queen a3, moves it to safety and blocks white's pawn at a2. Rook takes c8, check, checks black's king. Bishop takes c8, protects black's king. Black wins a rook for a rook. Material is even. d4, attacks black's pawn at b5. Queen c3, threatens white's pawn at d4. Knight f3, removes the threat on white's pawn at d4. b4, moves it to safety. d5. Slightly better is king h2. E takes d5, attacks white's bishop at e4 and creates a passed pawn on d5. Bishop takes d5, pins black's pawn at f7. White wins a pawn for a pawn. Material is even. Knight b6, attacks white's bishop at d5. Bishop e4, moves it to safety. b3. Slightly better is bishop g4. A takes b3. Slightly better is queen b5. Queen takes b3. Creates a passed pawn on a5. Black wins a pawn for a pawn. Material is even. Bishop c2 attacks black's queen. Queen c3 moves it to safety. Knight g5. Bishop takes g5. Bishop takes g5. White wins a bishop for a knight. Material is even. Queen a1 check. Checks white's king. Queen d1 removes the threat on white's king, attacks black's queen, and seizes the open file. Queen takes d1 check. Forks white's king and white's bishop at c2. Bishop takes d1. Protects white's king. White wins a queen for a queen. Material is even. Knight c4 threatens white's pawn at e5. Bishop d8. Knight b2 attacks white's bishop at d1. Bishop e2 moves it to safety. a4 moves it to safety and pushes the passed pawn. Bishop e7. Bishop e6 blocks white's pawn at e5. Bishop a3 attacks black's knight and blocks black's pawn at a4. Knight c4 moves it out of immediate jeopardy and forks white's pawn at e5 and white's bishop at a3. Bishop takes c4, protects white's pawn at e5 and white's bishop at a3. White wins a knight. White is up a bishop in material. The game ends in a draw.